Hello ladies and gentlemen, Centaur here and welcome back to another video, and I hope all of you are doing well because I am as always. And in today's video I'm going to be showing you all how to do an effective and good flight plan on Infinite Flight. Now when I'm flying online I've seen a lot of people aren't really using all of the SIDS and stars and all of the really cool procedures which are available to you here on the Infinite Flight mobile flight simulator for these online flights. So there is quite a lot to talk about here. So also, if you're new here as well, please do feel free to like and subscribe, join the family. We're going really quick and it's great to see all this progress happening, especially whilst I'm at university. So we're going to be flying today, or for this flight plan, we're going to go from London Heathrow and we're going to travel across Europe and we're going to go all the way down to Istanbul, LFTM, the new Istanbul airport. It's a cool little airport. But yeah, we're going to try and use that airport and I'm hoping all of the data available there is what we need. Now obviously it's important we spawned in at Terminal 5, which is a realistic spawning point for the British Airways aircraft, considering we are currently at London Heathrow Airport here, as you can see. So we're going to spunk on here and the first thing I do is I always add the airport. Then the next thing I add is a waypoint near my intended departure runway. So 27 left is clear, so we're going to pretend we're going to use that. And I'm going to add on 9 right there because that's the nearest waypoint, sort of along the runway. There's obviously lots of ways to do it. Now, obviously, you would expect to be departing south or southeast coming out of the airport. So, if you press on London Heathrow here and then again EGL, you got this little thing come up, and I've gone onto the procedures button. And then on the top left of my screen, and hoping you guys can all see it, I'm going to press select departure. And obviously, you got all of the little directions for you here. And we're going to see, is there a southeast one that looks reasonable? So we could always go for this one. It would be a direct turn almost immediately left out of the airport, which is quite realistic for London Heathrow. And there's quite a few, but we'll see what ones are headed just south as well. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to select this one because it will give us some time to get a little bit of altitude and to engage the autopilot. So we're going to add that to our flight plan. So we're thinking here we're going to come out and then we'll make a nice little left turn and now we're headed south. Now, obviously, you can use online websites which do all of this hard work for you, but obviously there's a lot to it. So what I then tend to do is I try and think, I'm like, okay, well, where do I want to fly over? Now, normally I'm a really bad sucker for this, but we're going to be thinking Gatwick might have a little bit of traffic, so I'm going to try and avoid the short final on Gatwick here, considering we'll still be climbing, and we're going to go around the airport there. Now, my hometown is sort of like around here somewhere. So I always love to fly over it, so I'm going to fly over it. So I'm just going to add that on just for the point of it. Now, quite a lot of you users do enjoy to fly over big airports. So obviously Paris is a big, busy airport. So I'm going to try and find sort of a waypoint in between those two places. And then when we fly near Paris, we're going to want to fly directly over the airport. Obviously at 36,000 feet, of course, we're going to have no issue with this or traffic. But again, we do need to be aware that we will be in contact with probably Paris Centre if you guys are flying on Expert or even potentially a training server. So again, I'm just going to stick on a few more of these flight paths. Now, the next thing I generally think about now is I'm like, right, okay, well, we want to get to Istanbul, which is over here. We're headed a little bit too far south here. But we have flown over Paris like I wanted to. Now, normally I'd aim for this little place here. It is Bologna. I always forget its name. I always fly over here, or I try and go across here. But obviously, I've chosen to fly over Paris. We got LSGG. Yeah, that is Geneva. So obviously, we can fly over Geneva Airport as well. I don't see why not. You know, just stick that on for your flight. Now, it is very important that you do have cruising altitudes. Now, I will talk about separate altitudes throughout the flight in just a second, but again, another recognisable airport here as another little waypoint for us to fly by. Now, it's quite helpful if you fly around or near these big cities because it gives you an idea of where you are during your flight. You're like, okay, I'm at Paris, and it's just sort of a fun way to make the flight. Next place we're going to come up with is Dubron. I'm not even going to say that before because I'll butcher the name. Now, this is a big leg without many waypoints in between. So, okay, it's perfectly normal to have big points like this. So what I then generally look at is I go onto LFTM and I click on it, and we want the arrivals. Now, you can sort of see where do we want to arrive from. We'll probably arrive from one of these, which put us directly at the west, which will be one of these 3 routes towards the airport. And this will probably be our chosen one for the runways, seeing as they're currently the active runways. So we're going to fly directly through, I believe this is Macedonia here, so we're going to fly directly through it. Just add that one there. I'm going to add just again another little random waypoint to go here. So okay, so now we've got a few more waypoints and we are fine just to select that, and we're going to see what runway do we want. It doesn't really change too much, so we'll just say 35 right for now. So now we've added our arrival, which is very important into the approach at Istanbul, and we're going to try and see if we can select now an approach path. Now you can see, brilliant, there is one that will work, and we need to try and find it. It's one of the darker ones. There we go, we have found it, and I am more than happy to use this one. So we're going to want the vectors on EVBIR, and we're going to add that to our flight plan. And now look, we have completed it to the end of the airport, and that is your flight plan. So now that is really good. We've got a nice little flight plan that goes sort of around Europe, a few some major airports, which is good. Now the next thing I like to think about is my altitude. Where do I want to be? So for max it here, we have to be at 6,000 feet. So if we say for hasty here, we want to be at, I don't know, let's say 24,000 feet. So we're going to find hasty on here. I'm going to set an altitude, and I'm going to make that 24,000 feet. There we go. So that's good. And then let's say we want to cruise. So we're headed east. So we're going to have an, I believe it's an odd altitude. I might be wrong. But let's say for this Estoc by Paris, we can find Estoc here. Let's say we want to be at 37,000 feet for here. But then let's say when we get up to the airport at Geneva here, because it's near the Alps, we might want to be a little bit lower. So we're going to find GG 603, and we might make that, I don't know, 33,000 feet. So we're a little bit closer to the mountains, and we get a nicer view. So that might be what you want to do. So it's also good fun. Now obviously these are automatically done on the citizen stars for the procedures which we have just looked at. So that's all automatically done for you, so we do not need to worry about that. So that is brilliant. So this is sort of how I make as good of a flight plan as I feel like I can in infinite flight. If you guys did enjoy the video though, please do make sure you like and subscribe. And I hope I can see you all in my next video soon. Have a lovely evening. Good night.